Welcome, everyone. This is Betska, the Guru Coach, together with my handsome co-host, Raj Vashist. Raj is from India, and I am from Canada. And our esteemed guest today is Geoff Keller, otherwise known as the Elderly Vegan. So you can see some pictures of him on either side of this video and also online. But let me read his bio because it's so fascinating. Geoff holds a degree in biology as well as a degree in cytotechnology. But listen to this story. At 31, he narrowly escaped having his life totally destroyed by the surgeon's scalpel as the direct result of a false positive diagnosis of a malignant brain tumor, which didn't exist. They said there was a tumor was behind his eye. He was given 6 months to live. Well, he's 75 now. So something was very wrong about that diagnosis. But in a last-ditch effort to save his life, it was recommended that he undergo a very drastic surgical procedure, which in essence would have been the equivalent of a prefrontal lobotomy. So now, this is how God intervenes, right? Because a former instructor of his, who happened to be a pathologist, intervened and insisted that Geoff's case be sent out to the top 2 head and neck pathologists in the country. This is why sometimes it's good to have a second and third opinion, right? Both reports came back benign within the week, saying, no, you don't have to have a frontal lobotomy. You don't have to destroy your life, and you're going to live. You're not going to die in 6 months, in other words. So can you imagine how scary that would be, folks? So, but we were chatting about this before we went on air, and that is that, yes, it's disturbing that the medical profession came up with the wrong diagnosis, but it was a catalyst for Geoff to start pushing the envelope on his own health and wellness. He began to engage in activities which previously he never would have considered because they were too risky. In essence, he was living his life as if there was going to be no tomorrow. So seize the moment became his new philosophy. And I saw Geoff's name on Supreme Master Television on their daily news stream. And I recommend that TV channel to everyone because there's so much great information on there. And let me share with you that this 75-year-old American vegan athlete, that his lab results show he's fitter than most 30-year-olds. Let me repeat that. At 75, his lab results show he's fitter than most 30-year-olds with a resting heart rate in the low 40s, thanks to a whole food vegan diet, along with disciplined exercise and yoga. So if we want to age gracefully and healthfully, Geoff's got some answers for us. So Raj and I are really looking forward to this conversation. Now, one last thing to know before we throw some questions at Geoff is that he hasn't needed to see a doctor in 30 years. Far outpacing the average person plagued by diabetes, obesity, and medication. Now, Geoff, the pictures of you in a muscle shirt show us that as a 75-year-old, you are in remarkable shape, just like Raj. And in this podcast, we invite you to tell us how to age gracefully and how you're able to be so fit for your age. All of us can use your wisdom. Yeah. So welcome, Geoff. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Betska, for having me a guest on your program, and thank you, Raj.
You are a superhero.
Yeah, superhero. Right on. I don't know, Geoff, if you follow Raj on LinkedIn or elsewhere, but Raj often films himself at the gym doing all these crazy exercises, and the people in the gym revere this young man because he's so fit and he really looks after himself. So we can all learn a lot from both you and Raj. Yeah. Okay. So question number one, Geoff. Provide us with that portion of your health and wellness journey which relates to nutrition. So talk about nutrition and how it is allowing you to age gracefully.
Well, Betska, I must start at age 18, and
Oh,
I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum at that age. When I was out on my own for the first time, so to speak, I was seriously in love with junk food and fast food. I ate
yeah.
anything or everything that tasted good. I felt that nutrition was irrelevant. But
Uh-huh.
also at age 18, I also began a passion for bicycle road racing. And this enters into it, by the way, because at age 22, I finished fourth in Indiana's state road racing bicycle championship. And to
Wow.
me, that said, look what I can accomplish on fast food and junk food.
Oh,
So,
I see.
so what's all this hype about healthful eating anyway? So it reinforced the fact that I came in fourth, reinforced that concept. And so I continued to eat really bad food all through my 20s. But
Mm,
by the time I'm starting to approach age 30, I'm beginning to wonder, is my seemingly robust health starting to come to an end? Because I
mm,
felt like middle age was coming on.
mm.
But at age 30, three things happened. One, I began working in a hospital laboratory and I could get easy access to lab tests. And when I saw my cholesterol values for the very first time, I was not pleased. As a 30-year-old, I was already a candidate for statin drugs. And
Oh my God.
yes, I was. And another thing that happened is I started reading Prevention magazine for the very first time. But
Mm,
yet, Prevention magazine entered a new concept into my psyche that I'd never before considered, and that was that a person can take personal responsibility for their own health and wellness if they adopt healthy choices in food and engage in other positive lifestyle modifications. So that became ingrained in me at that point. And the other component of that happened at age 30 is I gave up eating all red meat.
mm.
But that said, my love affair with junk food was still very strong. And because of that, I stayed a candidate for statin drugs all through my early 30s and mid 30s. The next pivotal moment came, I think I was in my early 40s. I'd been eating at the same fast food restaurant every single day in and day out, 5 days a week, same
Wow.
meal. And I'm not sure what possessed me to do this, but I went up to the cashier and I said, "Do you have a nutritional information sheet on all the food you serve?" And she
Oh,
did.
wow.
And when I looked at the amount of saturated fat I was consuming every day for lunch, I was horrified, absolutely horrified. I never returned to that fast food restaurant chain again. That was it.
Wow. Wow.
But
Good for you.
and at that same point in time, I'm beginning to slowly weed out the worst, the most egregious forms of fast food and junk food that I was eating. So my lab results started to improve. That was about the time where I was getting reports of cholesterol being under 200 for the first time. Next
Wow.
pivotal moment came at age 50. I turned 100% vegetarian at that point, but still, though, I'm still getting a whole lot of my calories from processed food that technically qualifies as being vegetarian, but it's anything but health promoting. But needless to say, I am making better choices in food, and as a result, I'm now getting cholesterol reports telling me that I'm at half the risk for developing coronary heart disease. This process of being a 100% vegetarian and cleaning up my nutritional act lasted an additional 17 years. But by
Wow.
age 67, I pull out all the stops. No highly processed food whatsoever is in my diet. I turn 100% squeaky clean, whole food, plant-based vegan. Next time I see my doctor, this is what he told me. Your cholesterol values are so favorable, it would place you in the upper 5% of the population, regardless of age. Now, that
Wow.
is quite a transition from being a candidate for statin
Yeah.
drugs at age 30, and then
Yeah.
at age 67, I'm in the upper 5% of the US population.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets even better. There's another test. It's referred to as high sensitivity C-reactive protein. This is a test that measures ongoing inflammation throughout your body, and
Oh.
you do not want ongoing inflammation throughout your body because it's connected to some very serious forms of debilitating chronic disease like diabetes and coronary heart disease. Well, with regard to that test, this is what my physician told me. Never before in my entire career have I encountered a patient with as favorable C-reactive protein results as yours.
Wow.
Now we're talking. If that's not an endorsement for a squeaky clean, whole food, plant-based diet, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
to bring this question to a close, I have an analogy that it's not my analogy, I've heard it before, but does a race car driver put the lowest octane gasoline in the tank of his high performance race car? I don't think so.
Oh.
So, in a similar fashion, if anyone is at all concerned about health, wellness, vitality, and even longevity, why would they want to consume a huge portion of their calories with this highly processed
Mm,
crap for food, which occupies virtually every center aisle of every grocery store in America?
mm, yeah.
So that is my journey with regard to my nutritional component.
So that's why they call the American diet on in general the SAD diet, right? SAD.
Yes. Mhm.
hmm Yeah. And I I I've been a vegan since 2004, vegetarian for 27 years or something. But I have only recently dropped like 99% of my diet is whole plant food based. You know, we
Mhm.
make it ourselves. My husband still loves the processed Beyond Meat burgers and things like that, but I won't eat those. Except there's one type of burger. It's made from lion's mane mushrooms, which is really good for our cognitive health. So we will eat that from time to time. But it's really important. What you're saying is vitally important. That and Raj, I mean, Raj living in India, I mean, that's their diet. The Indian people, eat their lentils and their dals and their curries, and they make delicious food. We should be eating like they are, really. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so second question is on physical activity. You've just told us, and thank you for all that data because it's very convincing for people. Thank God you were trained to work in a lab and to, have access to all those tests, right? I mean, that was a
Mhm.
blessing, huge blessing.
Very
So,
fascinating story.
yeah,
Very
so
fascinating.
fascinating. hmm So, talk to us about physical activity now. What do you
Well,
do?
okay, at age 18, as I mentioned, that's when I developed this passion for bicycle road racing. So obviously that's cardio workouts. Well,
Yeah.
cardio workouts have been an integral part of my physical fitness program my entire life. I still engage in very intense cardio workouts, although I don't race anymore for sure. But at age 50, I also started including resistance training and I start attending yoga classes for the first time. And with
Ah.
the benefits that you get when you combine all three of those, it's more than just cardiovascular fitness. Because
hmm
when you engage in routine yoga classes, you're developing flexibility and balance. And amazingly, I have greater flexibility and balance now at 75 than I did at age 22. But that's because I work at it now. And I didn't
Yeah.
work at it when I was young. So
hmm
uh, the whole point of this is that if a person can integrate all three forms of those physical exercises, it really is a win-win situation. But I also want to address something else that's related. the amount of health benefits one can derive from just a program of regular physical activity, the list goes on and on and on. And the
Mm-hmm.
list for making healthy choices in food also goes on and on and on. And
Mm-hmm.
many of those same health benefits overlap, but yet they complement one another. It's like flying on two engines and not just one. So let me
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. Weight management is a real good example. If someone is on a diet and they want to try and achieve a better lean body mass, yes, they can definitely do a lot of accomplishment, a lot of good by switching to a whole food plant-based diet if they had previously been getting the same amount of calories from one of highly processed food and such. But when you combine cardio workouts in there, that ramps up, and maybe people probably know this, it ramps up your basal metabolic rate. That means you're burning calories at a faster rate 24/7. Even in the middle of the night, you're burning calories faster than you would have. And unfortunately, when people go on a diet and they lose the desired amount of pounds that they want to lose, the problem is when they go on the diet, their basal metabolic rate also goes down. And so when they start eating regular again, they gain their weight back, but yet their basal metabolic rate isn't what it used to be, and they often wind up gaining even more weight. So my philosophy is fly on two engines, and I want to mention a quote by the godfather of fitness, Jack LaLanne. His famous quote is, "Exercise is king, nutrition is queen. Put them together, and you've got a kingdom." Well said.
Wow.
But I also,
Wow.
but I do have a quote from Dr. Mark Hyman, who's the director of functional medicine at the Cleveland Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And in his book, he says, if you don't exercise at all, just start walking. And I think
Yeah.
that is also excellent advice because a lot of people really do they're inhibited by exercise or whatever. But if you can just get like 7,000 steps in a day, that has tremendous health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
After all, humans did not evolve as a sedentary species. And to disregard 2 million years of human evolution by leading a sedentary life, if you do so, you do so at your peril.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very
that pretty
true.
much concludes my thoughts on maintaining a regular program of physical activity.
Well, you are so articulate. That's absolutely phenomenal. Well, listen, we're going to take a pause, and we'll be right back, folks, with Mr. Geoff Keller, the elderly vegan. Don't go away.